Hello, English class. I am at the dentist because my tooth is falling apart. So I'm making this video so that we can go over some of the words just to help you for your vocab packet. And remember, your vocab packet is due on Friday. All right, so let's take a look at this first one. It's pronounced taciturn, not taciturn, it's taciturn. And this is an adjective, so that means that you're going to use it to describe things, and this is typically going to describe people. I suppose potentially it could describe like animals, but most oftentimes not. And when someone is taciturn, so if you would describe a person, like say like, oh, the taciturn boy, what you're trying to say is that they are speaking very little. Okay? So that they're generally quiet, but the difference between taciturn and just generally being quiet is that when you are taciturn, you're so quiet that you seem unfriendly. So when I walk into a party and I don't know anybody, I could be described as taciturn because I'm not really talking to anybody because I don't know anyone. And so then people are going to say like, oh, she clearly is, like she's mean, she doesn't like people, etc., etc. So when you say the taciturn boy or the taciturn girl, what you're saying is that they're talking very little and they seem unfriendly. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are, but just that they seem like it. So then the next one is malevolent. And yes, the sentence is right here. I'm a doofus. Can you please write your sentence at the bottom right there? That would be awesome. Malevolent is an adjective. So you would describe typically anything that has a personality as malevolent. Because if something is malevolent, so that means humans, that means animals can be malevolent, and it means that they have ill will. Okay, they're wishing harm on another person. So you can say like the malevolent little boy pushed his sister down the stairs. Okay, you could also say that the malevolent cat attacked the other cat without provocation. Okay, you could also use the word malevolence, which is a noun. Okay, so you could say like his malevolence caused him to push his sister down the stairs. Now, when you use the word malevolent, it's oftentimes you're not just describing a person, or you can describe a person, but you can also say like they gave a malevolent stare. So that means that they're looking at somebody with intense hatred, like they want something bad to happen to them. You can also portray or do a malevolent act of some kind. And so if it's a stare, if it's an act, if it's things like that, then that means that whatever it is very, very bad. That they're trying to hurt somebody. Okay? And again, you can use the word malevolence, the noun form, if you'd like. That's an option. So the next word on the list is vapid. Now, vapid is an adjective, so you, again, would typically describe anything with a personality as a vapid, but you can also say things like drawings or activities. I guess anything can really be vapid. And oftentimes people just look at the word vapid as meaning lacking intelligence. So in other words, like vapid means stupid, but it doesn't just mean that. Someone who is lacking intelligence would be vapid, but someone who is also uninteresting would be vapid. Someone who is lacking in imagination is vapid. So like I would consider myself not an entirely smart person, but I think, I'm smart enough. But you wouldn't describe me as vapid, but you'd describe this lovely picture there as vapid. It's not very imaginative. However, when talking about how I want to hurt my students, you would not describe me as vapid because I have many different ways to describe, or many different ways to torture and hurt people. And so you can describe like like I said, drawings could be vapid, people can be vapid, and it doesn't, like I said, it's not just lacking intelligence. For anyone that has seen Ferris Bueller's Day Off, there's a teacher in there that is incredibly intelligent, talking about the economy, but nobody's listening to him. Literally, the class is falling asleep. That individual, even though he is intelligent, he is lacking interest, and so he would be considered vapid. Okay, vapid definitely does have a negative connotation to it. Number 4, the word morbid is an adjective. Okay, so you would describe things as morbid. I suppose people can be morbid, but it's more of their interests that are morbid. And so if you're describing something as morbid, then you're saying they have a strong and unhealthy interest in unpleasant stuff, almost always pertaining to death. Okay, so if a little boy is drawing morbid pictures, then it's probably pictures where people are dying in them. Okay, and oftentimes that's like the theme of or not a theme, but that's something that happens in like scary movies where the little kid is drawing pictures and they're always morbid, like somebody dying or a ghost. Or they say like, oh, where's your daddy in the picture? And they say, oh, he's dead. Like that's pretty morbid. So anything that has like again an unhealthy or strong obsession with something that's bad is morbid. So recently Charles Manson died, and if you don't know who that is, he's a pretty prolific murderer. That what happened, he murdered a couple people in the 70s, pretty awful. Some people had a morbid obsession with him, that they wanted to know everything about him, and they were upset when he died in jail or in prison. So anything that has this concept of death, like, and you could even say that the research packet had some morbid questions on it, talking about like lynching and things like that. That's pretty uncomfortable, awful. You don't want to deal with it. So you could describe people as morbid, things that they do as morbid, drawings are morbid, research is morbid, video games are morbid, or can be morbid. So number 5 is foray. Now, this one is going to be a tricky one because it is a noun and students almost always want to use it as a verb. It is not a verb. Not a verb, not a verb, not a verb, not a verb. Verby, verby, verb. No, no, no. No verb. Okay? Now, the reason that people want to use it as a verb is that the definition of a foray is a short attempt at doing something. Okay, so oftentimes they want to say he forayed at his homework but quickly got distracted. That is incorrect. So you could say his brief foray in his homework ended because of his distracting phone. So typically it's they have a foray. You would say that Ms. Hain had a brief foray into volleyball, but it only lasted one season because she realized she liked swimming more. So a brief foray. Now typically foray is used with the word into. Foray into swimming or soccer, or foray into volunteering, and then they realize they hate people so they don't want to be around them. So you typically have a short attempt at something. You could say like foray at. No, it's oftentimes used with into. So foray into this, into that. It is not a verb. Someone does not foray. Someone has or encountered or did a brief foray. They can have a brief foray, but they don't foray themselves. Number 6 is erratic, which is an adjective. Okay. People are not erratic. Students typically want to call other individuals as erratic because it means like not following a pattern or random. So sometimes they'll say things like, the erratic boy shouted words in the middle of class. Like it's not the boy that's erratic. It's his erratic shouting. The boy shouted erratically in class when while no one was talking. So yes, you can use it as an adverb. But so you can say that paintings can be erratic, or but people are not erratic. Their behaviors can be, their actions can be erratic. Patterns can be actually that'd be like an oxymoron. An erratic painting or pattern, that's fine. But it does not, like when people do things that are just totally random, that does not mean that they are erratic. It simply means that something they have done is erratic, okay, unexpected. So in the next video, I will go over the next 5 words.